Have you ever really stopped to think about what life feels like after 75? I'm not talking about what you see on the birthday cards or those cheerful stock photos of smiling grandparents baking cookies with their grandkids. No, I mean the real stuff. The mornings when the house is so quiet it actually hums. The afternoons that drift by without a single phone call. The evenings where dinner feels like just another task, not something to enjoy. And those nights where you lie awake wondering, does anyone remember I'm still here? It's strange, isn't it? How aging, something we all hope to reach, can become one of the most isolating, confusing, and misunderstood experiences of our lives. Maybe you've seen it in someone you love. Your dad used to fix everything in the house. Now he just stares at the TV, the remote sitting still in his hand. Your aunt, who always had something smart or funny to say, suddenly gets quiet when the room fills up. Or maybe it's you. Maybe you felt a shift in how people treat you. Like your voice has started to carry less weight. Like your presence is easier to overlook. And nobody warned you this was coming. Nobody talks about this part of life. The part after the party ends and the world starts to move on. While you're still here, living every single day with thoughts and memories and hopes no one sees. These years should be rich with comfort, with dignity, with care. But too many seniors find themselves battling loneliness, confusion, and loss silently. That's why this video matters. Because if you're over 75 or you love someone who is, you need to hear what's coming next. I'm going to walk you through 6 brutal realities, real life, hard to swallow truths that every senior faces but few ever talk about, especially when it comes to loneliness. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand them, you'll be equipped to do something about them. For your parent, for your grandparent, or maybe for you. So before we dive in, do something simple. Leave a comment below that says, I'm here. It lets me know you're part of this conversation. And if this is the kind of real, honest talk about aging you've been looking for, go ahead and subscribe. You're not alone. And here at Elderly Care, we'll walk this road together. Let's get into it. Reality 1. Social circles shrink dramatically. Let me tell you about Mr. Ellis. He used to be the first one through the doors at the community center every Wednesday evening. Ran the chess table like a general. Laughed loud, told stories about his Navy days, even gave out advice whether you asked for it or not. People loved being around him. He was sharp, present, alive. Now, he sits in the same armchair by the window, day after day, watching the street, hoping to see someone he knows walk by, waiting for the phone to ring, just once, to hear a familiar voice say his name. Some days it doesn't ring at all. You see, after 75, something quiet but painful begins to happen. The people you built your life with, your spouse, your closest friends, your co-workers, they start to go. Some move away to be closer to family. Some face their own health battles. Some pass on, one by one. The circle that once felt like a safety net thins out. And then there's mobility. You don't just drop by anymore. Driving becomes risky. Walking across icy sidewalks feels dangerous. So outings, even short ones, get put off. And with each delay, the world outside feels a little further away. And here's the dangerous myth. That seniors want to be left alone. That being quiet means they're content. That not asking for help means they don't need it. But silence isn't always peace. Sometimes, silence is heartbreak. It's the ache of feeling invisible. Loneliness isn't just emotional. It's physical. It raises blood pressure. It increases the risk of dementia. It weakens the immune system. It literally shortens lives. But here's something that does help, and it's simpler than you might think. Regular contact, not grand gestures, not hour-long calls every day. Just consistent, caring connection. 10 minutes once a week. A voice on the other end of the line saying, I was thinking about you. A short visit, a handwritten card, even a quick video message. It tells them you're not forgotten. So if someone came to your mind just now, don't wait. Reach out. Let them know they still matter. But the phone isn't the only kind of silence they live with. Because when the people stop coming, the house changes too. And that leads us to the next brutal reality. Reality 2, purpose fades. Judith was the glue of her family. You know the type? Always in motion, always with a list. After retiring, she didn't slow down. She threw herself into helping raise her grandkids. School drop-offs, lunches packed with care, Homework spread across the kitchen table every evening. Her calendar was full. Her days were busy. And her heart felt full. But time moved on. The grandkids got older. They didn't need rides anymore. They had their own lives, their own phones, their own friends. Now Judith wakes up to quiet mornings. No more little shoes by the door. No spilled cereal on the counter. Just silence, and a question that's heavier than it sounds. Why today? What for? You see, one of the most overlooked parts of aging is this slow erosion of purpose. When work ends and family needs shift, when the daily roles that gave structure to life start falling away, what's left? People talk about retirement like it's some endless vacation. But for so many, it's not rest. It's a loss of identity. And when that sense of purpose disappears, something else happens. The brain starts to dim. Science backs this up. A lack of daily structure, of meaningful engagement, has been directly linked to cognitive decline and depression in older adults. It's not just about staying busy. It's about feeling needed. And that's where we, the ones around them, come in. Because purpose doesn't have to mean a job or a packed schedule. It could be something small, something steady, something alive. Maybe it's helping a neighbor sort the mail. Maybe it's calling the great-grandkids every Saturday to tell them a story. Maybe it's tending to a garden or a single plant on the windowsill. Maybe it's mentoring, listening, or simply being someone who others come to. Purpose lives in connection, in usefulness, in being part of something, even something tiny. So if there's someone in your life right now who's slowing down, pulling back, saying things like, "I'm just in the way," don't brush it off. Don't say, "You've earned your rest," and walk away. Ask them to share. Ask them to help. Invite them in. Because the question isn't just why today, it's how can today matter? Losing purpose is emotional. It touches the soul. But the next brutal reality isn't just felt inside, it's seen in the body. And it's often misunderstood, even by those who mean well. Reality 3. The body becomes a barrier. James used to light up a dance floor. Weddings, birthdays, New Year's Eve. He was always the first one to grab a partner and pull everyone else in with him. Smooth, steady, full of rhythm and life. That's how people remember him. But now, James hesitates at the bottom of his staircase. He grips the railing just to steady himself. Breathes heavier halfway up. Some days, he doesn't bother with the stairs at all. Not because he's lazy, not because he's tired, because he's ashamed. Ashamed that the body he trusted, the body he moved through life with, suddenly feels foreign. Slow, weak, fragile. This is one of the hardest truths about life after 75. Your body starts sending you signals, quiet first, then louder. Things that used to be automatic now take planning. Getting out a low chair, stepping into the shower, carrying a bag of groceries. You start calculating risk in every move. It's not weakness of spirit, it's biology. After 75, muscle mass naturally decreases. Bones lose density. Balance becomes unreliable. And it's not just harder to move, it's scarier. One bad fall can lead to months of recovery, or worse. And yet too often, family says things like, "You just need to be more active," or "Come on, try harder." They mean well, but they don't see the fear. They don't see the calculations running through James' mind just to get up from a chair. Because it's not about effort. It's about adaptation. What helps most isn't pushing them harder. It's helping them feel safe again. That means creating a home they can move through with confidence. A sturdy chair with arms to push up from. Grab bars near the toilet and in the shower. Good lighting in every hallway. Non-slipmats. A cane that fits comfortably in the hand. Maybe even a walker, not as a sign of defeat, but of freedom. Encourage gentle walks. Chair yoga. Movement that respects the body as it is, not as it once was. Because when your body feels like a cage, it's not just mobility that's lost, it's independence. But even if we make the body safer, even if we restore some confidence in movement, another challenge creeps in. One that's harder to see. One that slips into conversations, into memory, into the very way someone understands the world. So what happens when the heart starts to forget? Reality 4. Memory loss changes relationships. Rita had always been sharp. The kind of woman who remembered birthdays, favorite colors, the names of childhood friends. The type to call you up just to say, "I had a dream about you last night." Are you doing okay? But then it started subtle things. Forgetting where she put her keys, mixing up the days of the week. Nothing unusual at first. Everyone forgets things, right? Then, one afternoon, she called her daughter by her sister's name. Not once, not twice, 3 times in a row. Her daughter smiled politely at the time, but later, sitting alone in her car, she cried. Because that moment wasn't about a name. It was about a shift, a crack in something solid, a realization that the person she'd always turned to might be slipping away. Memory loss doesn't arrive like thunder. It drips in soft, slow, hard to grasp. But over time, it reshapes everything. After 75, cognitive changes become more common. The brain doesn't process information as quickly. Recall slows. Sentences trail off. Stories get told out of order. Conversations become more difficult to follow. And for the person going through it, it's disorienting, embarrassing, sometimes even frightening. But here's where we often get it wrong. We call them senior moments. We laugh it off. We correct them sharply. We say, "I just told you that 5 minutes ago," without thinking about how that must sound to someone already questioning their own clarity. It's not just memory they're losing, it's trust. Trust in themselves, in their mind, and how others will respond. What helps isn't correction, it's connection. Speak gently. Don't quiz them. Don't challenge. Use old photos, music, familiar scents, anything that can anchor them to something comforting. Repeat names with warmth. Smile, even when they forget. Meet them where they are, not where you wish they'd stayed. Because they're still in there, still feeling, still needing love. And often, what they remember best is how you made them feel. Memory loss changes more than one person. It changes the relationship. But if we stay patient, if we stay soft, the connection doesn't have to vanish. It can shift. It can endure. Memory loss can make the world feel smaller. But some losses go deeper. Ones that don't show up in forgotten names or misplaced items, but in emotions locked tight behind a quiet smile. Reality 5. Emotional suppression. Harold always said he was fine. When a neighbor asked how he was doing, fine. When his daughter visited and noticed he hadn't changed out of his pajamas, "I'm fine, sweetheart." Even when he hadn't smiled in weeks, hadn't stepped outside in days, hadn't finished a meal in one sitting, still, the answer stayed the same. Fine. But fine doesn't always mean well. Sometimes, fine is just another word for numb. You see, many seniors, especially men like Harold, grew up in a time where emotions were tucked away. You didn't talk about sadness. You didn't cry in front of your children. You certainly didn't admit to feeling lonely or depressed. So what do they do instead? They go quiet. They go inward. They learn to wear a polite smile, to change the subject, to keep the hard stuff buried. But silence isn't always stillness. Sometimes silence is suffering. Science tells us this isn't just anecdotal. Older adults are more likely to hide emotional distress. They're less likely to seek therapy, less likely to open up, more likely to say nothing, even when everything inside is begging for someone to notice. And here's where the danger lies. We mistake that silence for peace. We assume no complaints means all is well. We take fine at face value when really it's a shield. That's why we have to lean in gently. Listen not just to the words, but to the pauses, the tone, the patterns. Ask questions that go beneath the surface. Are you really okay? Or just saying that? What's been on your mind lately? You know it's okay not to be okay, right? And most importantly, just be there, without fixing, without rushing, just present. Because for someone who's held their pain in for decades, the greatest gift might be permission. Permission to feel, to speak, to break a little in front of someone who won't turn away. Create that space. Keep it open. Keep it soft. Because unspoken pain doesn't vanish. It just hardens. But spoken pain, that can begin to heal. Now, for perhaps the hardest truth of all, the one that rarely gets said aloud, but lives in the quiet corners of the aging heart. Reality 6. Fear of being forgotten. Gloria sat at her kitchen table on the morning of her 81st birthday. There was no card in the mailbox. No knock at the door. The phone didn't ring. She stared at the clock as the hours passed. One by one, slowly, silently. Later that evening, she whispered to her nurse, almost like she didn't want to say it out loud. "Will they even remember me when I'm gone?" That's not just a passing thought. That's a question that lives deep in the hearts of many seniors. Because as the years stretch on and the world keeps moving and people grow busy with their own lives, a quiet fear begins to take hold. Not of death, but of fading, of becoming a memory no one keeps. As we grow older, our social bonds change. Some break, some vanish entirely. And when those connections weaken, something else rises up in their place. A fear of being invisible. A fear that your story, your entire life, might simply dissolve. It's one of the most painful and deeply human truths of aging. That question, will I be remembered? Not as a name on a gravestone, not as a framed photo, but as someone who mattered, who shaped someone's life, who meant something. Yet many well-meaning people misunderstand this. They say, we're giving them space. They think not calling too often is respectful. They assume being alone is what their loved one wants. But leaving someone alone too long doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like being forgotten. And the solution isn't complicated. It's not some big production. It's remembering their birthday, even if it's just a short call. It's asking about their stories, their past, their favorite song. It's letting them talk about their legacy, what they want to leave behind, and who they hope remembers. It's telling them, you matter to me. You always will. Because memory isn't just about the mind. It's about love. It's about presence. It's about choosing to keep someone alive in your thoughts, in your time, in your heart. These 6 realities are heavy. They're real. And yes, they're painful. But understanding them, that's the beginning of something else entirely. That's the first act of love. Watching someone you love fade slowly, whether in body, in mind, or in spirit. It's not just painful, it's gutting. You see them sitting in the same chair they always did, but they don't move the same. They don't speak the same. Their laugh is quieter now. Their stories come slower. Their eyes seem a little more distant each time. And you wonder, are they still in there? Do they feel the slipping too? It's a grief that doesn't come all at once. It creeps in, little by little, in the moments you barely notice, in the empty spaces where connection used to live. But here's the thing. Noticing these signs doesn't mean you've already lost them. It means the opposite. It means there's still time. Time to show up. Time to love them as they are right now. Not who they were, not who you hope they'll stay, but who they are today. It means there's still time to give them what every human being deserves. Joy, clarity, dignity, even in small doses, even in the simplest gestures. Check in. Say their name like it still matters, because it does. Ask them to tell that story you've already heard 5 times, because maybe telling it again is the highlight of their day. Look them in the eyes. Sit next to them. Let the silence be shared, not avoided. Because to them, you might be the only bridge to the world that still feels familiar. And maybe, just maybe, that's all they need. Not a miracle, not a cure, just someone who chooses to see them. Love doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to come in grand gestures or long speeches. Sometimes love is just being there, quietly, consistently, completely. And that kind of love is never forgotten. To recap, the 6 brutal but real truths we explore today are: the shrinking of social circles, the slow erosion of purpose, the body becoming a barrier, the shift in memory that changes relationships, the silent suppression of emotions, and that aching fear, the one no one wants to say out loud, the fear of being forgotten. Each one of these isn't just a fact of aging. They're lived experiences, and they can be overwhelming, not just for the person going through them, but for the people who love them. But here's what matters most. You're here. You listened. You opened your heart. You stayed until the end. And that means something. So let me ask you, have you seen any of these in someone you love? Or maybe, have you felt 1 or 2 of them beginning to show up in your own life? Share it below, even just a sentence. There's someone else reading this right now who needs to know they're not alone either. Let's build a space where honesty is met with kindness, where stories are held with care. Let this comment section be more than just replies. It can be a place of recognition. And if this video opened your eyes, even just a little, please consider subscribing to Elderly Care. This is where we talk about the things no one else wants to, with the respect and honesty they deserve. This is where we see each other, truly see. Thank you for spending this time with me. You're not alone on this journey. You never were, and you don't have to be. stay compassionate, stay present, and I'll see you in the next video.